Good morning, dear pupils and students. I'm glad to greet you at our English lesson from International House, Toshkent Academic Lyceum. My name is Marina Lebedeva. Let's start our lesson. Today our topic is reported speech. As I told you on one of my previous lessons, it's a really wide topic. That's why I'm going to divide reported speech into several parts. Today is the second lesson for this topic. Well, on the previous lesson I told you some introduction in this topic. Well, direct speech is some words, like original words, someone's words or saying, and direct, indirect or reported, in other words, speech. It is a retelling of someone's words. So it was introduction. Also, I mentioned that if you have present tense in author's words in main sentence, as you can see here is present simple tense. Also, you may use present perfect or future simple tense. In a reported sentence in that clause, you shouldn't change any tense. You will leave the same situation, in the verb. I gave you such kind of table. So how should we change tenses if you have your main sentence, author's words, in past tense? So I hope that you fixed everything on the previous lesson. And today we're going to talk about modal verbs in reported speech, because it's some separate situations, separate details, and you should remember them in order to create your sentences properly. Well, and also I will talk about future tense in reported speech. We also have some peculiarities that you should remember. Well, so here I fixed some words, verbs. If to be exact, that we will discuss. So can, may, must, have to, will, should, ought to, need to. Well, you know these words, but we have some differences. Well, can. Of course, you should use can when you talk about situation, when someone has a chance to do something, or may. It is like hypothetical situation, like 50-50. Must is obligation. Have to, it's like no choice. You should do something and that's all. Will. Will is auxiliary, is not modal, is auxiliary verb that you should use in order to create future tense. Should, ought to, need to are also modal verbs. Pay attention to some of them. We should use participle to with have, ought and need. It's like rules that you should remember, and you never should use to with can, may, must. I will talk about these in details a little bit later. So, what is this? Here I fixed a list of qualities that we may bring, that we may represent in our sentence if we use modal verbs. Because you know, if you use modal verb, near it you should use some other verb, which brings us meaning of the sentence. It may be ability, as I told you before, or possibility, like maybe, certainty, permission, requirements, suggestions, and advice. Now, let's talk in details about these verbs. So, may and might. What is the difference between these words? May we should use in present form, might we should use in past form. On this slide I fixed some key information about these verbs. Look please. May is used to express what is possible, factual or could be factual. And might, past form of may, is used to express what is hypothetical, counterfactual or remotely possible. So it means you'd like to say that something is like 50-50 possible, maybe, or you're going to ask some permission. In this situation, you should use may or might in past form. So let's see how should you use these verbs in the sentence. Please look at this slide. The first column is direct speech, the second is reported or indirect speech. So, she said, I may go to Paris. In our reported speech, we should do some changings. Of course, for the first of all, as I told you on the previous lesson, I explained reported speech, you should pay attention to author's words, to main sentence. Here, this sentence in past simple tense, that's why we should make these two parts, I mean main part and this clause, equal. For this purpose, we should change something in our sentence. Here, we should change the verb may. But if you remember, we should use some tenses. When we talk about modals, we should use only appropriate form of modal verb. Here is might. Well, she said that is union. She instead of I, we should change pronoun, and might go to Paris. We don't have any adverbs, that's why no necessity to change anything else. The second example, please. They said we may buy a car. Well, the same situation, we have may in present form in our clause. That's why looking at author's speech we may see past tense, so it means that we should change it to might. It will be like they said that might buy a car. Please pay attention to one detail, that I excluded we from that sentence. I didn't transform this pronoun. Why? Because we should say they 2 times. I think that there is no necessity to do this. And if it is obvious, you may omit, you may exclude this pronoun from the sentence if you won't lose some meaning and main idea. Well, so now please look at some other situation when you have verb may in past form even in your direct speech. Bill might write the report that said. So, can you see might in past form? On the previous lesson, I told you that if you have verb in past simple tense, in your reported speech it will be in past perfect. But that rule is actual for usual verbs. Here we are discussing modal verb, may, might. That's why you shouldn't do like this. You shouldn't use some auxiliaries, add auxiliaries before might and create past perfect. You should just stay and leave that verb in your sentence. So might will stay might. Zach said that Bill might write the report. This rule we use only with modal verbs. They are a special one. Modal verbs, you know, sometimes they may be like auxiliaries. That's why I decided to subdivide modal verbs in reported speech for you. Well, let's continue and let's talk about can and its past form could. Here I fixed definition. Actually, can is really popular modal verb. We use it always. We cannot live without this verb. So can, you know this verb even from your primary school, I think. Can is one of the most commonly used modal verbs. It can be used to express ability, as I told you before, or opportunity to request or offer permission, and to show possibility or impossibility. So it means you'd like to show that you can do something, you have a chance, or not. If you will add negative participle, no, not. Well, now look please some examples. How should we use can or could in our sentences in reported speech? He said, I can sing a song. So can in present form, it means that we should make to these parts equal, of course, with our main sentence, which is in the past form. Well, it will be like, he said that he could sing a song. Or the next sentence, the second one, she said, I can write a poem. She said that she could write a poem. The same situation, can will be transformed to could. And please, I'd like to pay attention to verbs which bring us meaning of the sentence. They are sing, write, play, which I fixed after could. They are in present form, and if you will look at them attentively, you will see that it is infinitive form. Well, but I omitted participle to. Why? Because we know such kind of rules that after modal verb can, you never should use participle to. So here you are, this rule. And now another situation like with a may and might, when we have could in our sentence in past form in direct speech. Well, I could write the report, Jen said. I fixed a similar example but with another verb in order to show you how can we change meaning of the sentence. So there with a might, I wanted to show you like possibility. Here is a chance, ability for doing something. Well, could, like might in my previous example, will stay the same. We will not add some auxiliaries from past perfect, had, no necessity because it's modal. It creates its form itself. So Jen said that she could write the report. Well, now let's go should. Should, it's really important verb when you would like to express some advice or offer something. Here I fixed definition. Should is a modal verb most commonly used to make recommendations, to give advice. It can also be used to express obligation as well as expectation. Well, it means that, for example, if you would like to recommend someone something, you may use modal verb should. For example, you should put on warm clothes because it's cold. Well, how should we use should in our sentence? Actually, should doesn't have form, past form or present form. That's why we have only one form. So it is like Jan should write the report. Again, the same sentence with another modal verb. Jan should write the report. Should, you may see the same form in our indirect speech, in our reported speech. So, Zach said that Jan should write the report. Remember that should we cannot change absolutely. And don't mix, please, with our future tense, with the verb shall, because it's absolutely another topic. Here you're talking about recommendation, about advice. Next one is ought to. Ought to, and again definition for you. Please pay attention to the words that I underlined. Ought to plus have plus past participle. Past participle, you know, past participle is your verb, your usual verb, with ending ed or the third column of irregular verb. It's some structure that you may use sometimes with this verb. So, is used to express a regret that something wasn't done, or to reproach someone or for doing or not doing something. So, what does it mean? It means that maybe earlier, yesterday, for example, you told your friend you should do something, and after that he didn't do, and today something bad happened with your friend. So, you may say, you ought to do that thing. So, you regret about that. You're sorry. How should you use ought to in your sentence? Please look. She said to him, you ought to send them a letter at once. I fixed a little bit another example because we cannot use the previous one for such kind of idea. So, ought to. You regret about some letter that someone didn't send. So, ought to. Maybe if someone sent that letter, he could save some situation. So, in the result, we may get, she told him that he ought to send them a letter at once. Can you see that this modal verb also doesn't have past form or another form, only one standard form that you should use, that you should remember. So please use ought to always with to participle. Can you see I highlighted it also with the red color because you should use it. If you will exclude it, it will be mistake. Of course, some people will understand you, but it will be mistake. And must, finally, must is obligation. When you're set with a must, it means that you have no choice. Please look at the definition. Must is used to express obligation, give orders, and give advice. It can only be used for present and future reference. It means that must, like some other verbs, doesn't have form of past tense. We cannot use it in the past. So must will stay must always. Well, and must in your reported speech, in your indirect speech, may be represented from direct into two ways. It may become must, it may stay must, and it may become had to. What is the difference between them? When you're talking about order or some strong advice, you should use must. For example, your teacher may say you must do your homework. It's like order, it's like strong advice, strong recommendation. Or your mom may say you must clean your room. So it's also must. Must will stay must. So had to. When we use it, necessity to take action due to certain circumstances. What does it mean? It means that there is necessity to do something. For example, I had to clean my room. What does it mean? It means that you have no choice. You don't want to do this, but you have to. So, in such kind of cases, you may use had to. Now I will show you some sentences and you will understand it clearly, I hope. He said, I must study this book. Must, we may transform into had to or leave or just write must. So here it's better to do like some changing to had to. Why? I must study this book. Maybe I don't have time, I'm tired, I want to just maybe to do something another. But I had to, had, not have, had because we have our author's words, our main sentence in the past form, that's why we should make them equal, equalize them. So, had to. Another sentence, they said, we must finish the work in time. What does it mean? So maybe we are tired again or we have some other things to do, but we have no choice. That's why let's equalize our tenses and let's use had to, because we have no choice. It's not order, it's like necessity of doing something. And third example, she said, I must eat a healthy diet. What does it mean? No one makes order, and it's just your own decision to eat some healthy food. That's why she had to. Maybe she would like to eat some cake or chocolate, but She had to in order to be slim. So, and now please look at some sentence where must will stay must. He said to her, you must consult a doctor. What does it mean? You have some problems with your health and you cannot ignore such kind of problems, or it will be worse for you, you know. You shouldn't do like that. Never ignore your health. And in reported speech it will be, he told her that she must consult a doctor. Must, it's obligation here because you have no choice. You must care about yourself or you will have some serious problems. So in order to summarize modal verbs, I fixed such kind of table. Please remember how should we work with modal verbs in our reported speech. Because reported speech is our daily speech. Every day we may retell a lot of things, a lot of words. That's why it's really necessary to know how to use modal verbs and other simple verbs. Well, now let's go to the future tense. As I told you at the beginning of our lesson, I explained you a week ago how should you transform present tense and past tense in your clause. In reported speech, here is future. This table is a table of future in the past. You know that we have 16 tenses in our English language, and future in the past is also some part of that table of that part. So future simple in the past, future continuous in the past, future perfect and future perfect continuous in the past. You should learn them, you should learn structure. The first column is for active voice, the next column is for passive voice. So actually you should learn all of them, but you know that future simple in the past is the most spread tense among future in the past. You should remember, and you may use any of them as it's comfortable for you. And pay attention that in this table we have everywhere would instead of will, because we have future in the past. And pay attention to the passive column. We don't have future continuous in the past and future perfect continuous in the past. It's easier for you because you'll remember that we don't have such kind of form in our passive voice. Actually, when should you use future in the past? What kind of tense? We may use separately future and past. Of course, we cannot use future tense and past tense in one sentence. When should you use your rule future in the past? You should use it when you talk about, for example, yesterday your friend told you about some plans for future. Maybe for his plans that maybe he will realize turn into the life after months. So you cannot say these words today in present form because your friend told you some words yesterday. When you are going to combine these two situations in one sentence, you cannot use past and future. You may use only future in the past. Here, will or shall will be transformed to should or would. So future simple will become future in the past, future simple in the past. So some example for you. Mary said, and of course we use this tense in the past. Why in the past? Because our author's speech main sentence in past form. I will come home late. So Mary said, she, we may add that, we may exclude that. It's not a mistake. Would come. Can you see changing? Will, we changed for would. Home late. Future continuous will become future continuous in the past. So, some example again. Tom said to them. It's really interesting example. And pay attention at once to our second sentence. Tom told them instead of said to. In our reported speech, you should use told. Then, that is a union that you may use to connect these two parts. After that, I shall be having. Here you may use auxiliary shall, auxiliary that represents future tense. In our reported sentence, I fixed would. Why? Because together with he, you should use would. And other words are fixed in the same way, except tomorrow, where we should change for the next day or the following day. Next one is future perfect. Future perfect in the past. So the same two sentences in your direct and indirect speech. Jerry said, I shall. The same situation, shall, we should change to would. And the same part in the rest of the sentence, because we don't have any adverbs, we don't have any pronouns. So this situation, how should we change? And future perfect continuous. Actually, future perfect continuous is really complicated tense. And can you imagine future perfect continuous in the past? It's really a difficult structure. It consists of so many details, words, endings. But you should remember them, because maybe when you will pass your entrance exams, you will have such kind of tense, and you should understand that it's future perfect continuous in the past. Nina said, will stay. After that, we should change pronoun. Then shall should be changed to would. After that, have, been, and writing will stay without any changing. Only changing, as you have already paid attention, we should do in our auxiliary shall or will. We'll change them to should or would. Should, rarely, of course. In most of the cases, it will be would. And the same, so the rest of the sentence. So, that is about reported speech and how should you use future tenses in your reported speech. Please do not forget, because it's really complicated. If you will say your sentence in incorrect way, it will be mistake, and maybe some people will not understand you properly. That's why you should learn by heart and detailize all the things. So, for our future in the past, we often use such kind of verbs like say, tell, hope, and expect. Why I fix these verbs? Because these verbs may easily, may clearly, and the best of all other verbs represent future. Using these verbs, we may say that we have some plans for future, we have some ideas, we have some expectations, and you may remember this, you should remember this. So, that is all about reported speech for today. So actually we have one more lesson which I will devote to our reported speech. So, just how did you understand, and maybe you didn't understand, you may write me to my mail, of course. And now please look at the screen and don't forget about registration if you would like enter to the Academic Lyceum International House Toshkent, and if you would like to get ready, if you would like to prepare yourself for your entrance exams. The number you may see at the screen. So, thank you for your attention. I hope that you will spend your weekend perfectly. So, goodbye, have a good day.